see what we got here. Aha. What's going on, y'all? It's been a while since I've done a bonus build update, right? And this definitely warranted it, because the only reason I do bonus build updates is when, you know, I figure something out that was, you know, wrong with the build that I forgot, or, you know, somebody in the comments like, yo, you know, you should add this. What about this? What about that? But man, I just recently rediscovered the beauty of the Merciless, and it was easily overshadowed by the Ravenous, because, you know, when I did the raid and everything, and I got the Ravenous, it was like an amazing thing. I mean, it like became like my favorite weapon. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I just pretty much forgot about the Merciless, especially with all the changes it went through. I was like, okay, what's the point? You know, the Ravenous has weapon damage with the explosions, and so does the Merciless. So, in the grand scheme of it, which one am I going to use? Right? I'm going to use the Ravenous. But, hold on, they trying to roast me over here. But recently, like I said, you know, I made a build for this called No Mercy V2. V2 because I made Volume 1 like a while ago, like almost over a year ago, right? This is when like everything was popping, everything was real hot. And I made a Striker Merciless build. And it was still back when the Merciless was doing weapon damage only for the explosions. So when I released the build, No Mercy Volume 2, it was just like, you know, stacking weapon damage to try and see how far I can push the needle in order to make it viable enough to actually make a statement, saying something like it's better than the Ravenous, you know, or is it better than the Ravenous, posing the question at the conversation, at least. You know, some people have varying opinions about, oh, this is not better than the Ravenous, it is, or whatever. But check this out. When I posted that video, I posed a question. I said, is it better than the Ravenous? And people were saying, oh yeah, and I asked in there, does this do explosive damage? In the build video, I asked, does it do explosive damage? Because I'm seeing, like, in the description, it changed a little bit, you know? If you read the description, look, this is what it says. So, I'm like, does it do explosive damage? And a couple people in the comments was like, yeah, man, it does explosive damage. It does 500% explosive damage. It doesn't say it, but it just says amplified damage. And explosive is amplified damage. You know, that's the first clue. And then the second thing, it says, after the 7 stack, it deals 500% weapon damage. So it does like 1,000 accumulative, and you know what I'm saying, each have their own damage bonuses. So I was like, yo, it's over with. Now I gotta make a build with this. I gotta make, I mean, at least an update. So, you know, I don't think it warranted a whole another build. So I decided to bring this to y'all. And with it, I wanted to make sure that it's still formidable enough with, you know, the armor, and I wanted to make sure it still deals the weapon damage to give it its respect. And I think I did it, man. Like, I mean, it works in PvP. That's a fact. I mean, if you look at this clip right here, it works. I will say that it's harder to use in PvP because, you know, I have braced, and without braced, look what it does. You can't really, you know, but with brace, check it out. It doesn't move, you know what I'm saying? So, it's harder to use in PvP, right? Oh, this cat is up in the window. Don't kill me, please. This is gonna mess up my video. Oh. Still went up in the window. Alright, come on. We gotta get out of their line of sight, dude. Let's go. Oh, and that's another thing, bro. Weapon handling is something different. I'm not talking about just weapon handling with the Merciless, bro. Weapon handling is different with SMGs. And when I was using this in the legendary mission, and by the way, if y'all want to see that legendary, run, I could drop it when I was using this build. But I was using this build in the DZ because I was farming for that God-rolled apartment that was on sale this week. I made a short about it. And by the way, what do y'all think about that short that I made for vendor resets? Oftentimes there are not a lot of good vendor resets. This recent one, and you still have time to do it, I think, this week, but it was the best one in the history of the division, right? So there was an apartment with some really good stats on it, so I was able to roll damage to targets out of cover, which I'm using right now, and I'm going to show you everything. I'm using weapon handling primarily, as a stat on here, and it makes the apartment hit so hard. I don't understand. It just hits really hard. And let me show you what we got here. Okay, of course, we got the Merciless, and this is what I was talking about, right? It has the binary trigger where when you pull it, it fires, and when you release, it fires. And then upon those, you gain stacks. And at 7 stacks, when you shoot an enemy, it deals 500% amplified damage. This is what I was talking about. This is the explosive damage. It doesn't say it, but it's amplified. And when you shoot, if the numbers are yellow, that's considered explosive damage. It's not considered crit. Crit is orange. And so after you pull the trigger again, it creates a 7-meter explosion, dealing 500% weapon damage. Now this is an accumulative 1000% damage, and it is crazy. You know what I'm saying? So the apartment. This is what I was talking about. Okay, perfectly measured. I rolled 10% damage to targets out of cover. It already came with damage to armor at the vendor reset, and you need to go in a DZ, man, and farm for those credits so you can get this, because this is super rare. And the apartment is so good, so good. After 𝐿𝐸Gro got scrapped, when the updates came out, this is like the next best thing, especially with Striker. Come on, man. And then the crit chance was low, but we could always optimize that to the top eventually, right? And I went with demolition and specialization because you already know we need the extra 10% explosive damage. Now, because explosive damage is so rare in this game, you want to get it from as many sources as you can. So 10% is a lot for specialization. And this is the build. I wanted to make sure I got all the values for explosive damage. So I have the China Light holster, the one piece, and it has crit chance, crit damage. And the Merciless is good because as an attribute for its exotic talent, it has crit chance, right? So you can get that crit up easily, which is rare on a rifle. And for my damage with my SMG, I wanted to get the 𝐒𝐭𝐲 Concern Mask. Crit chance, crit damage. And crit chance and damage is rolled everywhere on here except for the chest piece. Now the chest piece is Walker and Harris, and I wanted to get more damage values. On the other build that I made, you'll notice that I had two y'all pieces, right, for the 5% weapon damage. Now you don't want to prioritize weapon damage on this build. You want to prioritize explosive damage. And so I tried other talents, but Brace is always the way to go with the Merciless if you want to have fun with it. If you don't want to have fun with it, don't use Braced, okay? Or you can use Striker. But I'm looking for another chest piece that will allow me to get some more crit damage, right? And Walker Harris gives you 5% weapon damage, and that's the only, damage value I was willing to use on this, because what takes the cake on here, what takes the space on this build, is the Grupo and the China Light. Now, this Grupo backpack I got out of the Dark Zone, man, it's perfect. Yo, like, look at this. All I gotta do is recalibrate, and it's amazing. I mean, when do you get a Grupo backpack with a rollable talent that has crit chance and damage on it? Grupo Sombra is amazing, and I love it. So I'm gonna be using this backpack in a lot of my builds. So stay tuned for them. They're gonna be there. And I wanted Fox's Prayer knee pads for the rifle damage. I was thinking about using another damage value with the Sawyer's exotic knee pads, but I was like, nah. Let me try and get some good damage on here. Plus, I wanted to complement the damage to targets out of cover on the apartment, so that I can have more damage with it. And I think that's why it does so much damage. But This right here, the reason why it's rolled to skill tier is because I'm using it for another build, and I just rolled it to skill tier. But normally you want it to be rolled to an armor core, so 3 armor cores and 3 weapon cores. And for the skills, you can use whatever explosive skills you want because it's going to complement your explosions no matter which one you use. And I decided to go with my trusty sticky bomb, explosive sticky bomb, which, you know, you already know is near and dear to my heart. Whatever variant, it doesn't matter. And then the, the explosive trap. Both of these are super strong. You know, they are super strong. Even if you have one skill tier or no skill tiers, the explosive damage value is what makes it crazy strong. And I know you hear the excitement in my voice. That's for a reason. I mean, the build is amazing, yo. It works in PvP, it works in Legendary, it works in Heroic, and you just have to play tactful because it's not your traditional way to play. You gotta find areas that have good vantage points that allow you to be successful while you're in cover, right? And these are the stats. You know, I got 45.4% crit chance and 160% crit damage. If you have somebody in your team wearing Coyote's mask, you can increase this. Headshot damage is decent, but you know, the main thing about this build is the explosive damage. You already know. So that'll do it for this bonus build update. You know, I'm hyped right now. I got some builds coming. I got some videos coming. Stay tuned. Make sure you go subscribe to my game dev channel, man. I would appreciate the support there. All the passion I put in here is going into there, but in a different way. You know, a completely different vibe over there. So I'll catch you in my next video. Be right out.